Move on to the 10-minute rule motion on Lord Advocate, and I call John Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to make provision about the role and functions of the Lord Advocate and for connected purposes. Chaos and decay are priced into the lives of people in Scotland as they suffer under the yoke of the SNP administration at Holyrood. However, the latest crisis there strikes at the integrity of Scots law and so demands action this day and not mere indifference. The Lord Advocate is the most senior law officer in Scotland in ultimate charge of all criminal proceedings, sitting at the pinnacle of the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service. That same Lord Advocate also sits in Cabinet as a pivotal advisor to the Scottish Executive, which styles itself the Scottish Government. Just saying it out loud is, Madam Deputy Speaker, alarming. The head of criminal prosecutions sits cheek by jowl with the politicians supposed to run Scotland, sits at the Cabinet table with the very people who appointed her. Though a situation created by the advent of devolution, this cannot be right, for there ought not to be even the merest suggestion of a conflict of interest. It is not the stuff of a 21st century democracy, let alone the country of the Enlightenment. Ah, say the apologists, the Lord Advocate simply recuses herself in certain cases, is merely the titular head of some prosecutions. This is meant to be high-minded, an elegant solution concocted by the legal hierarchy in the salons of Edinburgh. But it is cloyingly cosy and has for years been the subject of disquiet. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, this comfortable nostrum has been shattered by recent revelations made possible only by a vigorous free press. Newspapers broke the news that the present Lord Advocate, Dorothy Bain KC, provided briefings to First Minister John Swinney about a court case involving Peter Murrell, former Chief Executive of the SNP. He is further the estranged husband of ex-First Minister Nicola Sturgeon. It was reported that the details and timelines for the case, none of which was public knowledge, were presented to Mr Swinney. The court case will reportedly not now come to trial before next year, conveniently after Holyrood's elections in May. Of course, given proceedings are active, I must be extremely circumspect about that case. Regardless, we in this place must concern ourselves with the dual role of the Lord Advocate, the twin hats of prosecutor and government advisor on one learned head. The dual role is enshrined in the Scotland Act of 1998, and so this bill is designed to allow for the separation of roles such that the head of Scotland's prosecution service is, in future, entirely separate from that of government advisor. That situation is best practice in modern democracies and pertains here in England, where the head of the Crown Prosecution Service sits entirely apart from the Cabinet and Government. Madam Deputy Speaker, often in this House we discuss contentious matters, but this is an issue on which there is surprising unanimity. Almost exactly a year ago, the Prime Minister agreed with me when I raised the Lord Advocate's two jobs that it was an important matter and indicated Scottish Labour supported splitting the roles. At the Conservative and Unionist conference in Edinburgh last month, the Leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition joined Scottish Party leader Russell Finlay in calling for robust action in this House. And even the SNP committed in their manifesto to looking at the dual role disaster. Yet, under the divisive hand of John Swinney, Scotland is a land where the inevitable never happens and the improbable always does. So Mr Swinney has belatedly published a report into the mechanics of separating the Lord Advocate from the Cabinet so that Scotland can have a conspicuously independent prosecutor and the Scottish administration can still have sound legal advice. Yet there is no indication of any move to actually separate the roles. And indeed, the Scottish Executive yesterday put out a statement lauding the strengths of the current arrangement. The public are entitled to question these supposed strengths and whether they are trumped by the perception of a conflict of interest when the role of legal adviser to the Scottish Government is concentrated in one person who is also Chief Prosecutor. Madam Deputy Speaker, politicians legislate, lawyers enact the laws. When prosecutors are, or are even perceived to be, too close to politicians, like moths drawn too close to the flame of power, the public may rightly fear the law is compromised, and so we must act. Some will claim this is overweening Westminster bullying Pocky Holyrood. Not so, Madam Deputy Speaker. Holyrood itself could drain this quagmire now by seeking a Section 30 order to vary the Scotland Act, clearing the way for separation of the law officers' roles. That would be internal to the Edinburgh Parliament, a move to restore public faith in the law by its own elected members. Albeit belated and tardy, such a move would, I contend, be welcomed as an attempt to lift the cloud which hangs over Scots law. Will Mr Swinney at this 11th hour, and against the run of play, for he has been at the heart of every wrong-headed decision by the SNP for almost 2 decades, at last do the correct thing? Unlikely, Madam Deputy Speaker, and so, on behalf of the right-thinking public in Scotland, I commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many that opinion say aye? Aye. Contrary, no? The ayes have it, the ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. John Lamont, David Mundell, Harriet Cross, Andrew Bowie, Sir David Davis, Jamie Stone, Christine Jardine, Sir Ian Duncan Smith, Elaine Stewart, Torquil Crichton, John Grady and myself, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Here.
John Cooper.
Keep it straight now.
Lord Advocate Bill.
Second reading what day?
17th of April.
17th of April. Our front bench is shuffling over, or they can